Oh, I missed something. Hi everybody, I'm Dana Durnford, also known as the Nuclear Proctologist.org, and you can find our videos and Fukushima presentations throughout the entire internet. It's March the 21st, 2016. We are starting our third episode, or third season, episode 1, and we are, I think, 5 days a week now minimum at 10:30 a.m. Pacific Canada time. We'll come over and say hi to everybody in the chat room. We'll close down that extra window. We'll get rid of the little Dana guy there in a moment. And hi to everybody. Shanikin. We got a little treat for everybody now. We got a camera over here, so when I'm talking to everybody, we can look up and get into that conversation. Hi Corey, Alex, Shanikin, Atom, Jan Brooks. Hi everybody is right. Amy, Chuck, Rogers. And who did we miss? Hi Kate. And Kate got the Fukushima hounds. And did I miss anybody? Albert? Yeah, no, we got everybody. And Brian. And like you say, you can only comment. Hi Nip Killer. You can only comment once the stream starts up. I got a tendency now to look over at the other camera because it'll take a while, and I'll probably do some of the stream where I'm looking in the wrong camera, so excuse me for trying to make it better. I'm sorry. And what we're going to do is we talk about Fukushima and the Fukushima event and the extinction event of the Pacific Ocean. That's extremely documented. We talk about the narratives from the industry. And just give me a second. Yoink. But I think it works better with the extra camera so I can talk to people without looking sideways all the time, and you kind of get distracted. It's hard to, we'll just close down. We'll close down the feed coming in, so the feed going out is very cool. And that way I can keep up with the comments. Hi Bipolar, Kathy, and anybody else I haven't seen. They're chatting away. Hugs to everybody. Yeah, the camera looks good on number 2. I like it. Like I said, gotta be very careful. We'll switch over number 1. We'll smoke out of there. And we got... Oh, that's not what we wanted. Probably could have done a better job on that one, Dan, if you tried. You know, you try being Dana, man. And so what's going on is we got a new green screen set up. We got a new green screen. I got to check now to make sure I'm on the right camera. We got a new green screen set up in the last couple of days. And so the shots over here with little Dana, cardboard cutout Dana, are not with the new green screen. But the new green screen is working out better, blah, blah, blah. I'm doing it on a tiny budget and trying... I slept for the last 9 days, in case anybody wondering where I was till. So let's keep going into the show. Let's get rocking and rolling. I smurfed that up already, did I? Hang on a second. Get that back to normal. There you go. Life is good. You can sue me later. See what? Dana's looking really tiny. I can fix it. I think a bit bigger for you. Is that better, everybody? There you go. And so, this first episode, let's cover a new study. It always takes us a few minutes to get warmed up and get into the live stream, and that's just the way it is, right? You can't get around that. So, a new study says low levels of radiation exposure does not affect health. So the pro-nuclear bootlick and cheerleading lapdogs on this planet are shoving that down everybody's throat. Oh, I got studies saying low level, so it's okay for everybody to move back into Fukushima. Well, think about this low-level study. What they done was they studied a country where the level of radiation is like 20 times higher than what you're exposed to naturally in your countries. That's the premises of it anyway. Okay. But what they found was there was no more cancer in those regions with more natural, normal, everyday, stupid background radiation. That everything on the planet is already acclimated to it and it's in everybody's body. Now, that type of radiation we're talking about, you can't get any more in your body. It's called homeostasis. Your body regulates it. And so I can only have so much potassium. So can my clothing. So can the mouse. It's got potassium 40 in it. If I had paint with potassium 40 and painted it on, it would equalize itself. It's something that's true genetic superior selection. Okay. Put that in layman's terms, Dana. Make some bloody sense with it. Well, think about this. If I fill my house up with bananas, then I got more natural radiation around me, right? But I don't expect to get cancer because I filled my house up with bananas, do I? Or if I fill my house up with potato chips and I can't move, I got to squeeze through the potato chips to get to the bathroom. You know, I got a little maze cut through my house with the potato chips so I can get through my house. I won't expect to get more cancer. That's brilliant. Okay. How about if we took a nuclear waste site and we done a study where we spread radiation throughout the whole house, man-made radiation, from a nuclear reactor, and then I lived there, what would be? Would there be more likely to get cancer? Well, my organs would melt in about 20 minutes, and I would be toxic waste, including the flies and the maggots that were eating me. They'd be toxic waste. And then all my neighbors would die shortly after. But if I fill my house up with bananas and potato chips, I'm already acclimated to that. And so what they're trying to do is you're trying to flip the whole Mises theory, where natural background radiation is good for you. Yeah, because it's in you. There's 162 emitters. But we've created 12,000 in a chain reaction. And every one of them will give you a cancer. And you can put 2 million atoms on the head of a needle, you can't see it. Okay, let me explain it to you another way. Another way. I can zoom in a little bit. Try to give that more context. Probably screw everything up if it does that. Okay, here's another way of looking at it. If I had a gram of potassium 40, a gram of potassium 40, I would need a gram of potassium 40. Like they measured in curies, which is becquerels per gram, say, of when it's refined. Okay, so potassium 40 is 5 zeros, so it's a point. 0.00000 10 millionth. So 71 10 millionth. So it's curies. Okay, now here's another way of looking at it. A curie is 37 billion becquerels. Now a gram of cesium was 88 curies. So it's 88 times 37 billion becquerels. That's what a gram is. Of the typical man-made radiation. But natural radiation, it's only 71 10 millionth. So it's 0.00071 curies. Whereas cesium's 88, not 0.00071, but 88.777000 whatever. So it's 88 times 37 billion. And so Chernobyl per square mile, it's around 100 curies, or around 30. And now cesium attacks your pituitary glands, your thyroid glands, your spleen goes into overdrive, producing white blood cells. That displaces the oxygen in your body. And So a banana is good for you. Potato chips are good for you. Walking in sunshine is good for you. So the study you're looking at, I'll just end it on that the study you're looking at, low levels of radiation exposure does not affect health, is not a homeostasis theory. It's homeostasis. Your body can't consume any more natural stuff. But if you were in man-made, your body would accumulate all kinds of man-made stuff in your body. So if you were taking in 10 becquerels a day, I can't remember, at the end of 500 days, it's 1,400 becquerels extra in your body. But you can eat bananas all day and potato chips and natural stuff all day. You don't get any more in your body. Does that help? Okay. Let's come over and talk about Fukushima for a minute. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the stream. I'm Dana Durnford. We'll bring up the other camera here. And we'll come back over to this in a little tiny bit. Dana's being goofy in the corner. We'll just move over. Rather let Dana be the goofy guy in that corner there. That's cardboard cutout Dana. That's not the same Dana. He's his own guy. And I'm so close that the camera doesn't have any width here, right? Okay, Fukushima had a 9.0 earthquake. This earthquake lasted 6 minutes originally. Now 6 minutes is a lifetime. So 6 minutes, it hit the country at 9,000 miles per hour. It was felt in Florida 30 minutes later. This earthquake, imagine a blanket in the wind for 6 minutes. Imagine your country being like that. So there was enormous damages. There was over 1 million houses destroyed with the earthquake and the tsunami. Let me talk about that for a second. So over 1 million buildings destroyed. But the nuclear power plants throughout the entire coastline were fine, Dana. Yeah, but 1 million buildings were destroyed. Yeah, no, but the power plants were fine, Dana. They're kryptonite. I'll cover that a bit more later on. So the earthquake was 7,000 times worse than Christchurch, New Zealand. 7,000 times. It was 1,000 times worse than Haiti. Haiti still hasn't recovered. No recovery in the future. This tsunami ran through the country. That's right, Dana, cardboard cutter. It ran through the country at 400 miles of the country. This tsunami did. And I can expand on that a little tiny bit for you if you give me a minute. Just hang on, it only takes a second. So the power plants, you can see, were right along the same. Now I'll show you a map of the tsunami where the deaths are along the coastline. And so the red was a tsunami that was 3 meters or more. And remember, the tsunami hit over 50 meters. So the map is deceptive in one sense. It was just one that I grabbed. I should have put more time into it and found a proper one. But here's a map of the deaths of the coastline. People that died along 400 kilometers of the coastline. Now, they died from that tsunami, but they died. Hang on, I'm sorry. They died from that tsunami, but they died from this debris, from this wood chipper that went through their country. Right? That's why that map, there's so many people dead in that map. Because you got to think about how that tsunami, when it came through the country. Just give me 1 second there. When it came through the country, like 400 kilometers of the country, the tsunami. We'll get rid of Dana for a bit here. The tsunami, the first wave came in, the next wave came over that, the next wave came over that, the next wave was over that. And so that went up to 10 kilometers inshore. 10 kilometers. And now it not only took out 1 million buildings, it took out many, many, many millions, and you'll agree with me when I say it, of power poles and transformers and infrastructure. So 1 million buildings through 400 kilometers. Let's just think about that for 1 second. So a million buildings went through a wood chipper. 1 million. 1 million. Think about those numbers. And so how many telephone poles does it take to supply 1 million? But yet they want you to believe. Now here's another picture. There's 30 million of these 1-ton bags. And so I'm going to show you the 4 buildings that they came out of. 30 million bags. Now the 1-ton bags that I'm showing you are not the tsunami debris. No, not at all, no. They're the releases from 4 reactors. This is Unit 1. This is Unit 2. These are 100% meltdowns. These are like Chernobyl's like a paper towel compared to these buildings. Chernobyl's, and I'll talk more about that in a little tiny bit. This is Unit 3, and that's Unit 4. Now Unit 4, they come out and told you on the inside of it looked like that. Think about that. But they tore that whole building down, right? They said it looked like that. These are official pictures. All of these pictures are official picture. Look at the homeless. They're dead now. But it looks like that. It doesn't look like that. It looks like this. See? It can't look like that inside of a building that don't exist anymore. It can't look like this when the buildings don't even touch each other and they tore everything off the building. Remember how big that building is? Think about that 10-story building. Now how can that fit in there? How can that fit into that? Or that? So these are all official pictures. That's the back side of it. Look at the dump. Look at the truck. They got pumping water trying to get it into the fuel pole. Here's the fuel pole. That's the official picture. That's the official picture. So why do you need that truck to pump water into that? And how can it look like that when we know it looks like that? So that was the perpetration, right? That's the official pictures of Unit 4. And what's inside the left of Reactor 4 is a perfect fuel pole. Fool's pole. Think about, that's why they got that big red pump there to your left, right? Hanging over the building to fill up the pool on your right. Does that make any sense? Man, you better not be asking any questions. But look at the picture on your left. And look at the picture on your right. I just want you to really look at it. Look at all the debris hanging out the left side of the building in your left picture. And the front of the building. And look how the building's completely torn down to nothing. But look at the picture they showed you. These are official pictures. Is that, you know, you better not say, hey, wait a second. Because that would make you a bad person, right? You better not say, I think it's a hoax. You better not say, I think it's a hoax. You better not say there's nothing left. You better not say it's destroyed. Because that would make you a bad person. And you are not a bad person for saying, hey, 30 million 1-ton bags and massive tanks of deadly, brutal, radiated water. Now that water is putting out X-rays and neutrons. That's why it's in a tank. Because it's unimaginably dangerous. It's unbelievably, inconceivably, horrifically dangerous. You can't get close to the tank because of the X-rays and neutrons. The tanks are only built to last a year. The bags are only built to last a year. So 30 million 1-ton bags and 1-ton trucks, bumper to bumper, would circle the planet 5 lanes of traffic right around the planet from 4 buildings. And it's a tiny fraction of what came out of the 4 buildings. And this is supposed to be the same building. So all the tsunami debris is radiated. People died throughout the entire coastline. The plants were affected throughout the whole island itself. Right? You see where all the plants are towed. Have another look at. Like this map is not very reliable. It was much worse than what you're seeing on that map. Okay. So think about this 30 million 1-ton bags. Now also think about, there was 300 times more radiation released into the atmosphere from burning debris that was irradiated. That's how they're getting rid of it. Is the government trying to contaminate every region in Japan by burning radioactive debris? If everyone is contaminated, in a relative sense, no one is. So we showed you that one. Fukushima will start burning radioactive waste 100,000 becquerels a kilogram. They've been doing that non-stop, and 1 billion pounds of debris. 1 billion dirty bombs. That's a dirty bomb. It's a dirty bomb. And the 100,000 kilograms that they claim is in it, there could be 800 times more in that pound. This is just what they rolled out to tell you, when this is supposed to go, this is a terrorist weapon, this is a dirty bomb. Family had 5 pets die within an hour. Japan's promised the U.S. to burn plutonium. This is out of control, isn't it? Fukushima plant will burn radioactive waste, and the incinerators are to run around the clock, including building materials and clothing. So the radioactive clothing and the materials, they're not burning that because they can't afford to take it to the dump. They're burning it because it's radioactive and they can't store it because that's how bad this stuff is. So all of that going into the atmosphere, falling into the ocean. And this model that you're looking at is only based upon just a short release from Fukushima from a single reactor. Come back to that in a second. Just a short release from a single reactor in Japan that they vented from reactor 1 or reactor 2. So it's based upon a 2 or 3 day release of venting, man-made venting. None of the pictures taken into account, none of the carnage taken into account, none of the documentation taken into account. So the models you're looking at is based over 6 years. But the ocean current travels at 5 miles per hour. It heats up the coastline of British Columbia, Canada, and parts of America. It regulates the temperature. It's a direct route over. It takes 45 days for it to get there. The jet streams, that will bring it over in 2 or 3 days. This is a 40-day model. That's the 16th of March. The 17th of March, the 18th of March, 1920, 1920th right now of March, 21st of March. It's right over your continent. By the 22nd, it's your whole continent and South America. 25th, the 26th of March, the 27th of March, the 28th of March, the 29th now of March. Look how thick it is. This is only based upon 2 isotopes. Now there's over 12,000 man-made ones. 10,000 were classified or so. Actually there's 55,000 up at Wikipedia. Now in our solar system we have around 160 emitters. All of these are emitters. Now cesium, it can emit right out your body, and it does. That's why they measure them in Japan with those full body counters. So they sit there in this thing, and the cesium is emitting gamma right out of your body. So all of the cells in your DNA and your chromosome gets pounded every second. It's pulsing. It's pulsing. And the thing about pulsing, think about this next second coming up. Pulse. See that? Now pulse back, pulsing. Right through your whole body, and then you sit down in this chair and it measures the radiation that's pulsing. Now the natural radiation in your body doesn't pulse out of your body. You can't sit there in a chair and measure potassium 40 like that. Potassium 40 is like, as it pulses, is only going 1/10,000th of a second, or 1/10,000th of a millimeter away from that spot. It's not pulsing throughout your whole body. They say like cesium is distributed through your whole body mass, and that's why the 1 millisieverts a year rule came into effect, and now and then Japan raised it to 20 millisieverts a year. So the millisieverts is how they trick you and deceive you and manipulate you and fool you. Right? You got to talk in becquerels, atomic decays, you're talking atoms. So when you're talking to atoms, because a single atom can cause cancer 10, 20, 30, 5 years, 2 years, 1 year even. Like you got a lot of them in your body. Atoms, but a single atom in your body is typically 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years down the road. You got many atoms will show up in 4 or 5 years. You got if you're constantly ingesting it, like if it's in your food, and it is, and 50 becquerels a kilogram will cause permanent lesions in an adult's organs. Permanent lesions in your organ. So 11, and so a child, we were talking earlier, like if we're taking in 10 becquerels of cesium in our food, hang on, gotta come back over to the laptop here in a second, but so look at the artificial radionuclides. This is the drinking water standard for North America. And so artificial radionuclides, tritium, is 7,000 becquerels a liter. Pre-Fukushima, there was around 3 becquerels a liter. Strontium-90 is 5 becquerels a liter. This is very powerful stuff. Now there's actually 100 times more strontium-90 produced in those reactors for every cesium-137. So it should be 1,000 liters per liter of strontium-90. But so cesium at 10 becquerels a liter is what I wanted to talk about. But look on the other side of natural radionuclides, 0.5 becquerels a liter radium, but it can't hurt you. You're acclimated to it. Same with the lead and the uranium, which is milligrams, not because it's not putting out becquerels. It hasn't gone through a chain reaction yet. So that's the big lie, like bananas and potato chips and water and sunshine and hormesis with man-made radiation. Hormesis is where radiation is good for you. Natural radiation, that's why we exist. Everything on the planet lives in harmony with natural radiation. It has zero effect upon our chromosomes, our DNA, and our function of our body. It doesn't produce cancers. But anything from a chain reaction, that's why we have terrorist laws. That's why we have nuclear holding sites. That's why we're this big whoop about Yukon Mountain. Blah, 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 blah. Right? Does that make sense for you? Okay, so if a child is, if you're taking 10 becquerels a liter in for 500 days and you get 1,400 becquerels permanently in your body, till you're long after you're dead, that'll still be there. It's got a 300-year lifespan. A child is getting 7 times more in their body because of the body weight. Because a child's body weight is different than an adult's body weight. So if they got radiation in their arm, that can come out now and pound the chromosomes in their body when their arm is alongside their body. On top of that, because they're so thin, and their body is developing, and so like girls are up to 10 times more susceptible. Young girls, and women get 6 times more breast cancer around nuclear power plants. Children get 15% more cancers, killer cancers, constantly showing up around nuclear power plants within 15 miles of that. 20% more cancer, rather. Killer cancer, leukemia. Leukemia is one of the first cancers will show up. It's the same with pets, too. Okay. Slept for 9 days. Been a rough couple of years, this Fukushima. You know, before we went on the ocean on the Fukushima Expeditions for Life, we covered... Last night I tried to do a live stream, try to get it to work. It didn't work. We took that Zodiac. We took the Zodiac. That Zodiac. And we went along the coastline of British Columbia. Is that map all screwed up or something? No, that's okay. And so those arrows, I put those arrows there, that's a representation of the whole coastline of British Columbia that we covered. We covered a lot more than what you see in those arrows. And we covered it repeatedly, 5 expeditions along the coastline of Canada for 260 days in this little dinky. And instead of being wonderful and amazing and just every millimeter jostling for life, instead of being just an amazing experience, it was naked, it was dead. This is all from the same pictures in the Queen Charlotte Islands. It was completely naked. So normally every millimeter, every square inch, everything about it was loaded. Instead it's all naked. And most of the coastline got less than 100 species when you added them all up. But look at how every millimeter of the coastline, because British Columbia is a tropical coast with 26,000 islands, and look how everything is missing, permanently missing. The 4 million other species didn't bother coming in and reseeding the coastline. So the indigenous population, and you would get 500 per square meter of those giant plume sea anemones. You would get 74 per square meter of starfish. Now it's naked. Now it's desolate. Now it's like getting on the moon. Now it's heartbreaking. And this is one of the most coveted spots in British Columbia, where people come from all over the world. And now even a bird will starve to death on those beaches. So we went ashore on these beaches, me and my little dog, Zoe. And instead of being just an amazing experience, well, we snapped over 2,000 pictures of that coastline. Each day. Each spot. Like that to me. Now the 4 million other species that are in the Pacific Ocean didn't reseed that coastline. So we've done the whole coastline in that little boat. A sea star dies, no worries about urchins. And so far the urchin die-offs. This was a study at Smithsonian and National Geographic in 2015 in April. It documented the 4 sites along 200 miles of the coastline. 4 sites at 200 miles of the coastline. And because of that, urchins were declared into an extinction event for the whole Pacific Rim. Now we covered the whole coastline, not 200 kilometers, but the entire coastline, 15,000 miles, 260 days in a little dinky. And everything was missing. Permanently. Because the 4 million other species didn't come in and reseed that coastline. Now normally if you plow in a healthy coastline, then all the species from both sides, the 5,600 highly visible species, the 600 algae, the 480 species of worms, the 78 species of sea anemones, the 76 species of starfish, the endless shellfish, and then the 6,000 plus invertebrates without the backbones, then the thousands of species of insects. This is all in the low tide to high tide zone along the coastline. It's called the nursery of the Pacific Ocean. The nursery of the Pacific Ocean. And I used to say to people, you could feed the entire planet, 7 billion people on this planet, protein from that strip of coastline, and you wouldn't impact the coastline. And now you couldn't feed a bird or me and Zoe. You would starve to death on that coastline in less than 5 years. It went from being one of the most coveted coastlines on the planet, particularly because it was in Canada, and you could just take a boat and go up there and you didn't have to worry about pirates, or you didn't have to worry about too many things. You're in Canada and you can drop your guard, so to speak. Okay, let's keep going. So look at the models coming up. Because this is the first episode, or the third season, the first episode, I'm just going to cover all the basics today. And so the documentation and stuff like that. And so we're going to talk about models. Models. And these are all government models. These are major institutions from around the planet models on Fukushima. So many other governments have come out and spoken about Fukushima. But we're not allowed to talk about Fukushima. The media doesn't talk about Fukushima. If you do talk about Fukushima, they bring out a single narrative. They don't bring out a left-right narrative. They won't have somebody saying anything I'm telling you, and then have the nuclear apologist, puke machine, mass murdering machine, come out and say it's like a banana or a potato chip or walking in the sunshine, which is Mises theory, when it's actually, that's why we have terrorist laws, that's why we're worried about dirty bombs, that's why we have nuclear waste sites, right? It's because it's not like that. Do we have to get security guards and TSA at supermarkets? If you heard of terrorists detonating bananas in your community, would you shelter in place? Would you panic, skedaddle? What would you do? You're like, somebody just blew up bananas and they're stupid as a rock, obviously. But your children, your friends, and your family who are illiterate or who are passive or who are unaware and are just trying to fit in will mumble that stuff when they hear the conversation. And it's just this 70 years of telling us it's like a banana. But a banana is 71 10 millionths per gram, where a gram of cesium, man-made radioactive, is 88 curies, 88 times 37 billion atomic atoms. That's 30. Well, a single curie, there's enough atoms there to give every animal and every human on the planet a cancer. But there's 1,800 autoimmune deficiencies, like Alzheimer's and dementia and autism, diabetes and heart, liver, lung, respiratory, pituitary gland problems. 1,800 will show up before cancer. Will manifest before the cancer does. And the cancer will manifest. Dr. Raymond Gilmedi from Loveless Respiratory Research Institute in New Mexico, they done experiments with plutonium and americium and beagle dogs and beagle puppies for 35 years at Loveless. Nice name, eh? Where all the dogs died within 3 to 5 years of vicious tumors, vicious cancers. We've covered those. He has 94 peer-reviewed studies published. And we've covered a large majority of them, 60 or 70 of them at least, in these episodes, in these programs. And I just don't want to go over looking for it right now. Probably got it right there. But hey, let's keep on track. So models, before I lose my grip, let's get back up to speed here. Models. So this is in Australia. Forecast map shows the possible radioactive activity east of Los Angeles. So this was by Australia. This one is by Norwegian Institute for Research. Has all of California under radiation. That's what that model looks like. And I'll show you some of these models coming up. Right now, for a few minutes, just headlines. But think about that, how that model is only based up on a couple of days' releases from a single reactor. It's not it's not based up on constant releases. Hang on. Cesium-137 forecast shows high altitude radiation clouds concentrating over California. Here's what that one looks like. And who was that from again? I'm sorry. That was your RAD project in the bottom of your screen there. And then we have France's Institute for Radiological Protection. Plume forecast for North America. We have the Norwegian Institute, where they say they're going to end forecasting. May the 12th. March, April, May. Within a couple of months, they had put under so much pressure. But look at these models. These are only based upon short releases. They're not based upon the actual meltdowns, melt through, melt outs. And they're not based upon the loss of the spent fuel pools, which each reactor has 5 million pounds in it. Absorbed radiation doses of iodine-131 was 10 times higher than the 130, or 132 was 10 times higher. So in other words, it was created at a ratio of 10 times higher. 132 was. And 132 is 9 times more effective at ionizing and radiating your thyroid gland. But what's interesting about that is that there was 30 times more 133. And 133 is a bigger health concern than 131. It also ionizes and radiates your thyroid gland. Now your thyroid gland also accumulates cesium-137. And so does your pituitary gland, so does your adrenaline gland, and so does your spleen. It gets attracted to those areas. And so these are very important. These are not organs. You can't transplant a gland that I know about. You can do it with an organ, but you've got to liquidate your assets. So iodine-133, but there was 30 of that. There was 31 times more 129 for every iodine-131. So those models, which are based upon 131 and 137, didn't include those other, the 129, the 133, or the 132, right? That's all the point I was trying to make, which are many times more effective at ionizing and radiating you. Fukushima fall at over 4 million becquerels a square meter in a major city. And this contamination, of course, because iodine and cesium doesn't travel by themselves. They're tracers. And if they showed up, that meant all the other radioactive elements showed up. But people are so confused because they hear only iodine, they hear only cesium for 70 years. And I mean, they hear about other isotopes once in a while, but that's the ones they hear about all the time. Most of them can't even pronounce the words, except for iodine. These are some of the models. Okay, let me skip past that today. Yeah, the end of the public forecasting. Does that mean the radiation went away? They only needed one plume. You didn't need plume after plume after plume after plume, month after month. See? You only need one plume to come through your country. There's that one plume coming through your country. This is NOAA's model down the bottom right-hand corner. I can't remember who the hell that one was. So this one was, these models were based up on 36 hours, 7.5 days, 13 days, and 19 days, respectively. So just to give you an idea of the plume coming through. Now the plume's not based up on all the releases from all the reactors, not based up on the meltdowns, which is 5 million pounds. Miles O'Brien came out and told everybody for the first couple of months that it was around 2 kilograms from CBS and PBS. These models, this one in particular from NOAA, was hit away. The 30th of March 2011. So the cesium, look at the species. They call it a species. See that? Bring that back up again. So look at the right above the picture or the map itself. See cesium 137. The 30th of March. You see species? What the hell is that all about? Send your hate mail to the nuclearproctologist.org. So how does cesium 137 become a species? Does it have human race too or something? That's an interesting... Why did they got that there? Anyway. I smurfed up. Hang on. Let's come over to the laptop. Oh, that's not the one I want. I want that one there. Let's come over here and look at latest E&E news. And E&E news, all they're doing is aggregating the news. They're not writing the news. They're just linking you over to the original stories from mainstream media. Alarm over very sick animals washing ashore in Alaska. Fish bleeding from the face. Bloody entrails coming out of the body. We are very much... I can bring up that other camera, I suppose. Makes it a bit more civilized. Alarm over very sick animals washing ashore in Alaska. I'll zoom in a little tiny bit. Hang on. Is there anything I got there that'll work? Yeah, I have that one there. We are very much aware of the possibility of Fukushima radiation. You're very much aware. Well, you never reported on it in the last 5 years. All of a sudden now you're saying we're very much aware. It's because all the animals starved to death throughout the entire coastline for the last 5 years. Now there's none left. Now the last die-offs you're seeing, that's the end of it. That's the end of the Pacific Ocean now. I like the pictures I showed you earlier. Back that up from the Fukushima Expeditions for Life. Radiation in the ocean off Fukushima at the highest levels in years. Out of control leakage coming from the plant. It's called a chain reaction. They're perpetually pouring water over it. That's why they have all those tanks on that site. Because the X-rays and neutrons from pouring water on the fuel rods and the melted coriums. Fukushima fuel melted through the containment vessels, March the 15th. That's 4 days after the 5th anniversary. Nuclear export fuel is scattered all over the place. Well, the building's detonated. They blew up. They caught fire. They melted down. I probably haven't got that there, have I? So I always sit on my desktop except for the day. Hang on. Will I get it this time? No. Let's keep going. Rock and roll. Fuel may have burned out into the environment. It blew up. It threw all the rods. Like Unit 3 is totally gone. Hang on. Hang on. Just hang on. Where you to, buddy? Look at it. Look at it. Look at it. This was 2 million times worse than any other reactor on the planet. 2 million times worse than any other reactor on the planet. It's 2 million times worse than... It's 2 billion times worse because it's gone... What this stuff was reclaimed plutonium, uranium from missiles from silos. So they took missiles, nuclear missiles, that have been sitting in silos, in fields, in bunkers, for 40 years, 50 years since the Cold War. That's already unstable, already gone through a chain reaction, already created mass murder when it was being produced. Like the Navajo Nation, Indian Nation, has over 15,000 abandoned uranium mines. Clean green, too cheap to meter. 15,000 abandoned mines. It would bankrupt your country to go in and try to fix that. It would bankrupt the country, but it's clean and green and too cheap to meter and carbon free, Dana. Yeah, but you bankrupt your country. Your country is just trying to clean up Hanford in America, where you dump billions directly into the ground in that 500 square mile nuclear waste site you got there, where you created all the plutonium. Like, it's shocking, really. I'm going to get distracted here. Keep going. Shocking how many people died in Fukushima. Cremated bodies of Fukushima radiation workers found near the plant. Such a high rate of cancer being detected into children. Because the whole country was irradiated. They said all the media come out and told you, oh, the plume went north or the plume went out over the ocean. The plume never stopped coming out of there. Within the first week, the whole country was completely irradiated because that's the way it works. Have you ever, like, had a neighbor burning or had a forest fire up your coastline or up the road from you, 10 miles up the road, 15 miles up the road, that burnt for a week? There was nowhere you could go. You can escape that plume. The plumes come over from forest fires in Asia and add to your pollution indexes in North America for up to 3 months at a time. Because it lingers over in North America and gets distributed. If your house is on fire and full of smoke, do you go in your house and walk around if it's full of smoke? No. You put on breathing apparatuses. The whole country was irradiated where everybody should have been sheltered in a place. I mean, that's the end of nuclear if that story came out. That's the end of nuclear anyway. It's killed the Pacific Ocean. So it's the end of nuclear. Nuclear got no... It should never exist. Its whole existence is predicated upon lies. Upon it's like a banana, it's like a potato chip, it's like walking in sunshine, like getting on an airplane. And the people that say that got an education and know better. The people that propagate that out there in the media are murderers. That's murder to tell people that. If I give you a pill that's dangerous and say go ahead and eat it, and I know it's not going to kill you for 40 years, but it will kill you, that's still murder. Right? If I shoot somebody and they don't die for a couple of years and everybody know I shot them, but they died from that bullet, then they come and arrest you. If you got out of jail for the assault. Now that they died, they can rearrest you, and that's murder. It's no different. Under any Bill of Rights or Constitutions or Magna Cartas, that still stands true. Fukushima, like the worst nightmare becoming reality. Releases as much as 1,000 atomic bombs worth of radioactivity. 1,000 bombs, the bombs detonate in 1 second, a split second, a millionth of a second. And they got 5 or 10 pounds. Each of the reactors got 5 million pounds. But see, a nuclear reactor is different. A nuclear meltdown is different than a bomb. A nuclear meltdown is consuming the rocks, the water, the rebar, the steel. It's ionizing and radiating that back into the environment. They have a new atomic weight. Everything that comes out of a chain reaction has a new atomic weight. Everything that comes out of a chain reaction is created from uranium. Right? You put uranium in and they get the cesium, the iodine, the tracers that we're familiar with coming out, the strontiums, the americiums that come out of there. But there's 12,000 isotopes we know about that comes out of there. Most of them are classified, but they're all dirty bombs. Fukushima, like the worst reality, becoming a nightmare. Emergency breaks out another, hang on, alert. We're not talking about America today, even though that's extremely important, don't get me wrong. Fukushima radiation found in marine life. See, and so this is why I'm showing you these models. This is why I'm showing you these models today. Maybe. Let's get back to those models. So, the headline was, it's just found in marine life, right? Think about this model. Think about it. So this is like day 4. This is the 16th, day 6, 7, day 7. So it all washes back down to your coastline. Everything on the west side of the Rocky Mountains, everything on the west side of the Rocky Mountains is washing down to your coastline. Right? Everything on the west side of the Rocky Mountains is washing down to your coastline. And everything on the east side of on the Pacific Ocean, everything on the east side is going towards the Atlantic coastline. All the rivers run down to your coastline. All your glaciers. There's no glaciers left in the mountains of British Columbia. They're gone. The snow there from this winter, but there's no glacier. The 1,000, 5,000, and no one's mentioned that. No climate scientists have come out. That glaciers are gone. Global warming. No, because it's Fukushima. And that a climate scientist is somebody that's trained to go out and propagate nuclear as carbon free. Too cheap to meter. Clean green. That's their whole job. That's their whole ideology. They went to school, they got an education, knows it's different than that, but they come out and tell you that. They're guaranteed a job. Oh, I'm a climate scientist. Let's keep going on these headlines. We're running out of time here. TV shocking number of cancers around leaking nuclear plants near New York City. Tens of thousands of cases around the plant. Plants are always leaking. Plants are just constantly, that's Indian Point. Indian Point is producing 800 curies, 800 times 37 billion, of tritium for 1.4 billion watts. 800 times 37 billion. That's why they keep trying to tell you tritium's okay. Pre-Fukushima, pre-nuclear plants, there was 3 or 4 becquerels, natural stuff. That can't hurt you. All of this can hurt you. Because it's pounding your DNA. It's pounding. Even if you did pass it out right away through your body, you're still pounding your whole body, DNA and chromosomes. You're genetically mutating them with an ionized man-made radiation that doesn't exist in the solar system. This is why we have terrorist laws. This is why we have nuclear waste sites. Well, we like to anyway. Uncontrollable hairs, lily times, fish famine. Along the U.S. West Coast, the dearth of food across the ocean. The pictures I showed you from the Fukushima Expedition for Life. See, the birds, the 200,000 birds that died would normally came into the coastline. They would have fed on all those marine life that were there pre-Fukushima. The 600 algae, the kelps, the 480 species of worms, the 6,000 plus invertebrates without the backbones. The starfish, they would have ate everything. The mussels, the periwinkles, the snails, the mollusks. They would have ate all the clams. They would have ate everything there. And they would have been okay. They would have went ashore a little bit further up into the woods and ate the thousands of insects. They would have went to a little stream or river and ate everything in that. They starved to death. And just for context of that, they went further inshore. You might get a blurp blurp on your end. Alaska seabird die-off takes a strange turn. There's over 7,000, 8,000 carcasses found way inland in a lake. They've never seen mirrors. These are deep sea divers, ocean divers. In that lake, they went all the way into a big lake looking for food, and then they starved to death on the lake. Over 7,000 of them. 8,000 were found in Prince William Sound Community Willard. Or that's the salt water. Sorry. But this story, if you go looking at it, you'll find out that there's a lake inland. That headline should have been there that time. But anyway, there's a lake inland not too far from there where they found over 7,000 or 8,000 birds in the lake, freshwater lake. So the Maersk, these died. This was a few weeks back. We're almost through it. So the death of the severe implosion, they call it a fish famine like Ethiopia, where there's nothing to be found anywhere for the people to survive on. There's nothing, no substance, not even a plant, because they would eat that. And so, you know, I was arrested for when I came ashore from those expeditions, and I'm facing criminal charges up to 10 years in jail for calling out the lawyers that were telling you there was no harm done, for telling you it was like potassium 40, like I explained at the beginning of this video. Right, like, you know, low levels of radiation exposure does not affect health. These people know better. They're academics. They know that natural radiation, no matter how much is there, is not going to hurt you naturally. If you refine it and put it in a jug, it can hurt you. Of course it can, morons. But you would have to fill up your city with bananas just to get a gram. And when you got a gram, it's insignificant compared to something like cesium, which is just a tracer. The biggest producer from the fuel rods is curium, and it's just as deadly as americium or plutonium. Okay, that's all I got. Just keep pounding away at it. We'll come over and say good day to everybody. Hugs for everybody. Thank you, everybody, for everything you've done, all the support you gave, and for the constant, I'll come back over in a second here, actually come over right now, for constantly doing the best you can out there, for being who you are, for trying your best to have a conversation, for trying your best to support the people that are, for trying to understand that kind of such a vast subject. It seems like such a difficult subject, and when you're told it's like a banana and a potato chip, that's an insult. That's an attack upon you and your friends and your families and your loved ones. They're attacking you when they do that to you. That's them saying you're an idiot. That's them snobbing you. That's them ridiculing you when they do that to you, when they claim that. Anybody that says that is educated, then that's a lie. They're a lawyer. And they have to be held accountable. You've got to get rid of them. There's no checks and balances to hold these critters accountable. So hugs for everybody in the chat room at livestream.com. Delamain, Thomas, Pam, Shanikin. Yeah, it is so, Elaine. Ellie, Chuck, Alex, Albert, Nolan, Illusion, Todd, Tyrion, Lonnie Clark. Hi, Lonnie. Lonnie's got Lonnie Clark. You'll see her, Nuts for It on YouTube. I'm trying to remember a radio program. My apologies, Lonnie. Fission, I can't remember. Tongue twisted right now. So, hugs for everybody. And Pam, Chuck, everybody I didn't mention. Jan Brooks, who's got Miss Milky the Clown on YouTube and doesn't stop. And I know we lost an activist on YouTube in the last couple of days. And it just goes to show you there's so many people out there that we don't even realize that are trying. And that uses their voice and don't get any traction. And so that's why I say I'm so grateful all the time to everybody for supporting me, because, hi Todd, everybody, because I got that support. You know, I'm supported whether I understand it or not. You know, sometimes I feel like I have no support, and that's just weak moments in my life, I guess. Stupid moments in my life. But you know, when my head clears up after a few minutes, then I realize, you know, I'm the most fortunate person imaginable, and that we accomplished everything we set out to do so far. And now that we're streaming again, 10:30 a.m. Pacific Canada time, 5 days a week, Monday to Friday, and I'll take weekends off because I'll just burn out if I don't. And I hate doing it. I never take it off. I'm always working non-stop. And so there's a higher quality will be uploaded to YouTube. It's a bigger file. I'm going higher quality than anything I put up in the 480. I can only stream at a certain quality, and so I record a higher quality at the same time, so everything is more legible for everybody that's trying to find this and read this later, or today, or tomorrow, or next year, or whenever. And I never stop working, and I can't do it without your support. And you can support me at thenuclearproctologist.org with credit cards, and it's a big company. And you can support me with PayPal, danadurnford@hotmail.com. And we still need to buy $6,000 TriCaster Skype machine. We still need proper lights. We still need proper equipment. And we still need to be able to function and be able to go out on the ocean on a drop of a hat. We still need to have, you know, a way forward. And so I got to ask and raise money every time, and make people understand how hard it is to even have a conversation about this, and how hard we work to have that conversation. And that's why we got to where we are, is because we got the support. And it's so hard for me to do these live streams, this equipment, and get all the kinks out of it. But I don't stop, and it works, don't it? These are good streams. These are solid streams, every one of them. It takes a few minutes to get up to speed, but it's a live stream, and that's just the way it goes. Hugs for everybody. We'll catch everybody on the rebound tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Pacific Canada time. I'll put a preamble up tonight. We'll see everybody then. Take care, folks.